Hello and welcome to Compositing with Sam. In this series, I'm going to take one photo at a time of some road or street or shared use path, and I'm going to composite using Beyond Typicals. In this first one, we're going to use this highway heading. This is heading south into Las Vegas, and we're going to just do a simple freeway widening to just show how easy it is to use Beyond Typicals, especially when it comes to these photorealistic photo composites. So I'm in Photoshop, and now I'm going to just do an AI tool called Generative Fill to remove this bus. So you just want to select it. You could say you want something else there. Maybe you want a different type of vehicle. But if you just don't put anything, then it's just going to kind of guess what you want and give you some options. So that's what we're going to do here. All right, so it gives us some options, and all three of them are believable, especially at this distance on that bus not being there. So we're going to use this one. And then we're just going to save out this image, and then we're going to do some foreground editing. All right, so now we're in GIMP to do the foreground editing. I could have done this in Photoshop, but I'm just personally more comfortable with GIMP. I've used it for longer. So this is the tool I'm going to use. But basically, you just want to select, I use this free select tool, and we just want to pull out any elements that are going to be in the foreground and then separate them from the background elements so that we can kind of keep the 3D sections in between them. You can go to beyondcat.com/photo-compositing and look at number 8 in the series, Compositing with Beyond Typicals, and you'll kind of learn a little bit more about how this works. But we're just going to simply do something like this because we want to tie it into the existing asphalt. All right, so now we have this pasted layer and we have this background layer, and we want them to be separate. And when we bring it into Beyond Typicals, we're going to zoom in so that you don't see this rearview mirror in this truck image. All right, so now we're in Beyond Typicals. This is version 3.0, just as a reference to know that some features are different depending on which version you're using. This is the default project, and to get started with photo compositing, usually you'll want to go to example projects and just choose blank. And then also I always go to total width and just shut that off. And then we want to go into the render tab, this big red button, go to photo compositing, and we want to import a new layer. Then we have our background, and we want to do our foreground. And then we want to go to rendering, and I'm going to change this to 4K, and that's going to change the resolution of these images. And you can see now we don't see the truck in this at all, and this is exactly what we want to do. We just need to make sure we go to photo compositing and that the background is to the back and the foreground is to the front. You can always test that by dragging in a section, and you can see where that separation happens between the background and the foreground. All right, so now I'm going to build out my road and then kind of photo match the angle of the image to the road at the same time. And just one note before I do that, I'm going to want to extend this out. Let's just do the full 1,000 feet, which is the max in Beyond Typicals. And that way we're going to not see the edges on either end of that. All right, so I've made the existing model and I've done my camera matching, kind of done both of those together. I've also adjusted the traffic so it's moving a little faster and has a little bit more density. You can always go in and make those adjustments here in the traffic tab when you select the section, and then you can choose which assets show up and which ones don't. Whatever ones you want to, it's completely up to you. And now that we have that existing section built out, which is the easiest way to camera match, now we can do phasing and we can duplicate it to make our proposed. And we can name these as well. We'll call this additional lane. And we're going to widen kind of a little bit to the outside and a little bit to the inside. So we've built out our existing, and now we've built out our proposed. Again, our proposed is adding an additional lane. So now we have 3 lanes in each direction. This is actually something that's currently happening in this area. And I also added some barrier rail over here on the side. And to be honest, it's probably a little bit too close to the road. Obviously, if you're doing this, you probably have more design constraints than what I'm working with. But let's just do internal offset, and then let's drop it down, because that's probably something more like what it would be. If you look really closely, it kind of ends here in the distance, but we are going to, I think, be okay with the render that we're doing. We could always just kind of zoom in and crop that if we need to. But all in all, this took about 20 minutes to put together so far, and now we're going to just do some renders. I always like to do some practice renders just to make sure. I like to do 60 frames per second. Quality, you can actually turn this down usually and get away with it, but it's up to you. And then let's make this 15 seconds and let's record video. All right, so this is how it turned out. Obviously, it always helps, at least when I'm doing these, to kind of fade between existing and proposed, just to show not only what the photo composite can do, but also because you want to show the difference between what it is out there today and what it's going to be. It's a really clear way to communicate these kind of designs. And we could also have made more edits to the traffic, to the labels, to all sorts of things. But in a very short period of time, I was able to build this out, make this wonderful composite with the city of Las Vegas in the background. And I encourage you to do the same with your own projects. If you want to learn more about Beyond Typicals, go to beyondcad.com/beyondtypicals, or click on the Contact Us button, and we would love to do a demo call with you. My name is Sam, and I will talk to you in the next one.